Today, we are going to go over the evolution of the front end of the Miata.
When it came to making the CAD for this bash bar / bumper, we took a bunch of measurements. We basically measured everything from 2 points. We measured everything from the fender bolts that where the front of the fender mounts on here, and then we measured everything else from the engine bolt for our top and bottom measurements. Once I had those 2 points locked in, I then could basically make the whole bumper off that. So I jumped into SolidWorks, and we started to create our bumper inside of SolidWorks. I learned this program so long ago, so getting back into it was kind of a pain in the ass. I made one whole complete bumper drawing and then scrapped it because it just didn't work right and I hadn't done it perfect. So once I actually started doing it and designing it, I had to do a ton of measurements, running it all the way back and all the way forward, double checking our little drawings we wrote on a notepad. We didn't label very well. I have bad handwriting, so I had a hard time reading what I wrote down sometimes. But I was able to get the whole thing matched up, and all the points we did measure actually matched up even after the thing was designed. And then once I extruded it, I created this long bar on the top and this bar on the bottom. And then I decided to actually add bars in between because it looked really cool to have the bars in between. I think it would add a cool, one, to add structure, and two, to add a nice grill to it almost in the front. Really good place to maybe mount an intercooler in the future. And once we measured everything and I started making the parts, I made sure I left 1/8" gaps for where our bumpers are going to go on, so we'll have that little bit of leeway and play there. We don't have spacers later, so there that spacers to have to take the material away. And then the only hard part about the whole thing was actually making the little S curves on either side of the bumper. So the ones that come here have to come down and then around, and they have to do this kind of shape here. And that's gonna be the hardest bend about this whole thing. Everything else is pretty straightforward. It's mostly straight parts with little bends that are no more than a 20-30 degree bend. This bend here is a double curve. That's gonna be the hard one. We're gonna see what happens with that. We've considered maybe just not doing that at first and adding that on later, but we're gonna try our best to add it on now. But yeah, we basically are gonna cut this part off here, come down, and then you'll see in the CAD design, we're gonna have the bar come down, around. It'll touch all the front mounting points around the top, and then 3 bars come down and mount to the core frame at the bottom. And then from the core frame, it comes out the same distance as the stock plastic bash bar that is on the car and actually mounts around. And it was really important to us to make sure that it was the same size as that, so it wouldn't, you still put the front bumper on. And then after I was done that, I added the little jack point in the front sits about 3.5 inches off the ground, 4 inches off the ground. So I think it'll be plenty of clearance. But I kind of made it to cut it a little bit and make it a little, we can make it a little higher if we need to. But for now, that's kind of what we got. We really won't know what's wrong with it until we make it and put it on the car.
So now that we have the CAD drawings, the next step is trying to figure out how the hell we're going to fabricate this thing.